What in the world is happening? Why is there a fire truck and a paramedic backing up while you got all these fathers and sons out here for the Squire program? I'm going to tell you what is happening. Don't worry, no one got hurt. No one got hurt. We actually had the Chicago Fire Department come on out and help us out by spraying down a large area of dirt to turn it into mud for the next evolution. Now, if you're wondering what's happening behind me here, you got fathers and sons doing the ice bath challenge while these young men back here with their fathers are doing the tug of war at the Squire. Now, why do we have the Squire program and why are we doing this out here and what's the point of it? Well, listen, it's pretty simple. As you guys know, kids are experiencing a high level of anxiety and depression these days. Young boys don't know what their purpose is in life anymore, unfortunately. Masculinity is all but dead. And when you're constantly told that you're toxic, when you're constantly told that you don't belong, that the desire to be aggressive, the desire to acquire things, the desire to be competitive is bad and toxic, well, soon you begin to lose your identity. It is part of our identity as men to want to achieve and to be aggressive and to want to compete and to want to test ourselves. But all those things have been told to us that they are toxic. And so the Squire program really is a rite of passage for fathers and sons to come together and have an awesome time for 12 hours going through different evolutions from, ice bath challenges to truck pulls to crawling in the mud and doing rucksack hikes. And obviously in the warehouse here, we also do a lot of teaching for them and give them a lot of opportunity to learn how to be caring, how to be compassionate, how to be courageous, how to be confident. Because every young man needs to be tested and every older man, every grown-ass man really wants to know, do I have what it takes? Can I still pass the test? That's just a reality. Every young man wants to know, do I have what it takes? And every grown man wants to know, do I still have what it takes? And quite honestly, how else are you going to know that unless you do something about it, right? So what is the thing you got to do? So if you're a grown-ass person or if you're wondering, do I still have what it takes? You're finding yourself depressed. You're finding yourself sad. You're finding yourself anxious. You're maybe over drinking. You're overstimulating. You're taking too much alcohol and screen sucking. I don't know. Maybe you're watching, that one YouTube channel that is not really YouTube, but it's more like PornTube or where the fuck it is. Maybe you ought to consider challenging yourself. Maybe you ought to consider going to the gym. Maybe you ought to consider getting on the mats and doing jujitsu. Maybe you ought to consider doing a daily ice bath. Maybe you ought to consider going on a rucksack hike. Like, there's so many cool things you can do to wake the F up and live a little, right? And that's the problem, man, is like we tend to have stopped living now. It's almost like you're just existing. You think that as a man, your job is to exist and nothing more. That is nothing further from the truth. You are supposed to say yes to the adventure. You are supposed to explore. You are supposed to figure out new things. You don't want to just end up like some guy working in a cubicle, like a rat on a fucking hamster wheel, trying to get through life, barely paying your bills, in debt, overweight, milkable titties, wondering whatever happened to you, why the best of you is behind you. Like, that's not it. And by the way, if you're wondering what these bear traps are for and these 2x4s that have nails sticking out of them and razor wire, well, this is actually another bear trap right there. This is the final evolution these young men are going to go through. They're going to be blindfolded, and guess what? Their dads are going to take them through this obstacle course right behind me, made of 2x4s with rusty nails sticking out, bear traps that are loaded up and ready to go, of course, razor wire, barbed wire, etc. And their dads are going to guide them through while these young men are blindfolded. Why? Because we want to create a bonding. And if you're like, oh my God, Bedros, that's abuse, that's exactly the problem with the generation today of adults and children. You've gotten too soft. Soft dads who end up with soft expectations, raise soft kids that end up being soft men. And then we end up having a very soft country. And so think about that. I'm not here to talk down at you. I'm just here to tell you that we need to be a little rough and tumble. We need to challenge ourselves. And don't worry, we're very safe about the whole process. We have mentors, we have cadre, we have medics, we have everything on hand. And what you may not know is that these young boys, as they go through all these different evolutions, they come here at 6 a.m. and they're a little insecure, they lack confidence, they're a little reluctant to be here. And by the time noon comes about, they come to life. And every single one of them tell us they love the combatives, they love the truck pull, they love the tug of war, they love the ice bath, they love every evolution. And they're like, holy crap, I didn't know I can do this stuff. And to go through it with your dad. And you're like, well, what if I don't have a dad? What can I do? Maybe you've got an older brother. Maybe you've got an uncle. Maybe you've got a grandpa. Maybe there's someone else that can take that young man through this experience. But every young man has to go through a rite of passage to go from being a boy to winning a seat at the table with the men. And you, as the adult, as the father, maybe a mother if you're watching this, have that responsibility to take your 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old and expose him to what it is to be a man. Confident, courageous, compassionate, a savage, and a servant. And if you do that, then we'll say yes to the adventure. We'll find purpose in life again. And before you know it, anxiety, depression, all that tends to go away. It's all it really takes. Not more medication, not Ozempic. Get them to work out, get them to eat right. We teach them the macros. We encourage them to work out. And before you know it, they become fantastic members of society. So if you've never done the Squire program before, I'd love for you to join us sometime in the future. Now we've got 5 Squire classes across the country. We've got Chicago, Illinois, we've got North Carolina, we've got Southern California, we've got Texas, we've got Florida. Actually, we've got a 6th one now in Denver as well. So all right, where was I before my phone overheated? Look at these dudes doing fathers and sons doing the tug of war, while these fathers and sons have switched with them and now they're in the ice bath. But my phone overheated and it's damn loud out here, so I'm gonna go inside to keep my phone cool and finish my thoughts with you, which is this, man. I want to see your sons thrive. I want to see you as a young man thrive. I don't care if you're 16, 17, 18, 13, 14. I don't care if you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. Like, the adventure never ends. You have to live a life that is a never peak life. You know what I'm saying, right? Like, if your life has become mundane, you just feel like you're on this rat race and all you got to do is pay the bills and you've gotten out of shape and you no longer have this like excitement for life, that's not how life is supposed to be. It's not. So go out and do something. I don't care if it's a Squire class. I don't care if you're a grown man, you want to come to the project, or maybe you want to come to one of my events that I run, like BK Live, right? Bedros Keuilian Live, taking place September 13th and 14th in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm going to drop a link in the description box here, but you can just go to bedroskeuilian.com. I'll also leave bedroskeuilian.com. I'll leave the link to BK Live in the actual comments, and I'll pin it for you guys. But listen, I want to see y'all thrive. I want to see you live a life of excitement, live a life of purpose, live a life of significance, a life that you're proud of, a life that makes you feel like I'm alive. And the only way that happens is if you go out and do that damn thing. It ain't gonna come to you. Much love, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're new to this, please subscribe. Peace out.